Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakam Madbhuta Singha Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare. Welcome everybody. Please have a seat if you wish. This is our, every evening we come together for Q&A session at the Rishikesh Kirtan Fest. And so we have about an hour and a half or so. It's a very simple process. People ask questions, we try to provide some answers and have some nice dialogue. And so I open up the floor. Would anyone like to begin the evening with a question? Yes? No? Spectators? It always begins with just one, and one question always comes. Sometimes I have to wait just a bit. Okay, over here.
Hare Krishna. Just to start with, like a general question, why is there a continuous flow of sense desire in our heart, and why are we so helpless that we can't control it? Or is there any way we can control it? Sense desire. Continuous flow of sense desire in our heart. General question. Huh?
You know, this sometimes I've been sharing an analogy. I'll share it again. Say a little boy sees his father driving the car. Okay? When the boy sees the father driving the car, then he thinks, a desire comes up. I want to drive the car too. Right? Now, that is the desire that reality will not facilitate. The boy's too small to drive a car. His legs won't even reach the pedals. He doesn't have the motor skills yet. Reality just will not facilitate that desire. But the desire is there. And so how will that desire be fulfilled? The desire will be fulfilled through illusion. If reality won't facilitate it, then illusion can facilitate it. And so the father may, wishing to fulfill the desire of the son, create an illusory car. A car that is based off a real car. It's kind of a reflection. It's kind of a virtual car. If a real car didn't exist, then the virtual car would never exist. But because there was a desire for the real car, but reality couldn't fulfill it for the child, then the child gets an illusory car, maybe even a cardboard box, right? It may just be nothing more than a cardboard box. The father draws some wheels on it and makes a little doorway, and maybe creates a little steering wheel out of a frisbee or something like that. And the child can sit in that cardboard box, and his desire to drive the car is to some degree fulfilled. I'm driving a car, and he's pretending he's going faster, and he's steering it this way, and he's turning this way, and if there's a little lever there for like changing the turn signal, then he'll do that. It'll make him even feel more like he's driving a car. And so it's to fulfill his desire that he got this virtual equipment. Now, underneath our body, underneath our senses, underneath even our mind, there is the self, the soul, the spark of spiritual energy that is perceiving the world and moving through the world in this body. But that soul, it doesn't lack anything that the body has. By nature, we see. The soul can see. The soul can hear. The soul can touch, etc. It has its own spiritual senses. This is what we do naturally. But because we have some desire that reality will not facilitate, therefore we're playing out our desires in a realm of illusion, right? And so the yogis are saying essentially the realm that we're moving through is like a virtual reality. And in a virtual reality, what do you get? You get all this virtual equipment, right? If you step into a virtual reality or like a video game, you get a virtual body with virtual arms and virtual hands and virtual eyes, all these virtual senses you're given within the virtual world. They're not your real senses, but they function like real senses in that virtual realm. And so we're to fulfill our desires that reality does not facilitate. We're given this body, these senses, and so on. And the mind is considered the sixth sense. You know, we generally consider that there are five senses. That's what we're all taught, like at least in the West. There's sight, or there's the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tactile sense, and the taste. You can do, these are the senses. But the yogis say that actually there are 11 senses, right? Because they say they call these the jnāna indriyas, the knowledge acquiring senses. They bring in data, visual data, audio data, transferred to the mind. They say there are also five senses of action: the voice, the locomotive, like the legs to move around, the manipulative sense, like say the hands, and then the organs of evacuation and the organs of reproduction. They say these are the five karmendriyas, the five senses of action. And then there's also the mind. And the mind is called a sense because it's that faculty that all the data comes to. All the data is processed through and stored in. Exactly like a computer, right? A computer, you can connect a camera to it. And the cameras function just like our eyes functions. You can connect a microphone to a computer, and the microphone functions just like our ears function. So we're moving through a virtual world with virtual ears and virtual eyes and all of this, and the programming within the mind to go along with it. Just like some of the equipment that you might buy, like I have a webcam that I use sometimes on my computer, and then it comes with an application that you can download to make all the adjustments and to be able to make the most of that visual data that comes through the camera, and then be able to store that information on the hard drive of the computer. So we have eyes, and all the visual data that comes through them is transferred to the mind, and it's processed in the mind and eventually stored. And so that's how we're going through this world. And in order to fulfill our desires, there's programming within the eyes, within the ears, in the mind, in connection to these senses. There's applications that work in connection to the senses that we have, and desire rests in those applications. You know, in the Bhagavad Gītā, Krishna says that kama, desire. Arjuna asks a question that's not so different from yours. Can we get third chapter? And towards the end of the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gītā, Arjuna asks this question: why do we do sometimes things that we even know aren't the right things to do, even things that we wish we really don't want to do, but somehow we feel compelled to do them? Have anybody ever felt like that? It might be with food, it might be with sex, it might be the words that we say. We don't want to do it, and then we end up doing it, right? Let me, one moment. Yeah, towards the end. So Arjuna asks, Oh Krishna, by what is one impelled to these acts of bad karma, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force, right? We know this is not a good thing to do, but we do it still, right? Why do we do it? How are we compelled to do so? And Krishna answers, it is kama, right? It is desire only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, which is the all-devouring enemy of this world. Now, this is interesting, right? He says that it's when the senses come in contact with the mode of passion. This opens up a whole nother realm of conversation. If we're moving around through a virtual reality, how is the virtual reality designed? You know how there's a whole science in the yogic texts, like Bhagavad Gītā talks a lot about this. I need to keep that open. Have you ever seen these video screens? I mean, we've all seen video screens, right? And these video screens are called, I believe they're called RGB. Yes? Everybody familiar with this? I think it means red, green, blue, right? You have a big video screen, and it has thousands and thousands of little pixels. Some pixels are red, some pixels are blue, some pixels are green. And they combine in all kind of ways to create all the different colors. And those colors, all the different shades and all different forms are made out of just these 3 different colored pixels. The yogis are saying that there are 3 energies that work in this world. Rajas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. I'm not going to go too much into depth in this, but they say these 3 energies combine to create all the varieties of forms that we see in this world. But they also say that each one of these energies has a particular influence. Like what if you took a particular color on a video screen, and let's say it wasn't exactly red, and it wasn't exactly blue, or it wasn't exactly green. Let's say it was like purple. Well, then certain pixels it's made up of all the pixels, this color and this form on the screen, but certain pixels are more prominent in it than others. And the yogis say that every object within this world is composed of these 3 energies, and each one of these energies has a particular influence. And whatever influence is more prominent in that object radiates from that object and affects us. So he's saying when our senses come into contacts that are emanating the Rajaguna, the mode of passion, then desire increases in us. And what the influence of the mode of passion or the Rajaguna is, well, let me contrast it. There's the Sattva Guna, which is sometimes called the mode of goodness. And when we come into contact with an object that's radiating this influence, the influence that it has on our awareness, on our consciousness, is a feeling of contentment, a feeling of satisfaction. I'm happy the way things are. And the mode of the Rajaguna is kind of the opposite. When we come in contact with this energy, we feel like I'm not content. I don't have all that I need to be happy. I need something more. I don't have enough of what I have. Before I'm happy, I need to acquire something or change something. That's the mode of passion. And so we might come into places or meet with people or eat certain foods or hear certain music, etc., that makes us feel like I don't have everything that I need. I need something more. And when that happens, then this material desire, this influence of the rajas, this kama, it becomes prominent in the mind. Okay? So this is what Gita was saying when it said that. I'll read that again. Excuse me. I'll read that again. Oh, just lost it. Thank you. It is desire only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath. Right? Our anger arises in this world when we don't have our desires fulfilled. He goes on to say different things. He says the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by this desire, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. This is the nature of material desire. This is really important. I shared a story. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but I'll share the quote from this story, the crucial message. This is from a story that goes back thousands of years in the ancient text called the Bhagavad Purana or the Srimad Bhagavatam. And one king is offering one sage, tell me what you want and I'll grant it to you. And the sage says, I want 3 steps of land. And the king said, in other words, you take 3 steps to measure out how much land you get. And the king's saying, well, why would you want only that? I could give you so much more. You just ask me what you want and I can give it to you. You're asking just for 3 steps of land, right? So then the sage answers. Would you like to hear what he said? I need to know. I need to see some eagerness from the people in the back. Yes? Just because you're sitting in the back doesn't mean you can just sit there like, well, we need to know that you're with us. Yes? Okay. So, yeah, okay, good. So he said this, and if you listen to this message that I'm about to share with you can change your life. This could be a game changer. Sometimes you hear one statement of wisdom and it can change your life. Yes? This could be such a statement for you. You could take this home with you, keep it in your heart. Ready? He said, all that there is within the entire universe to satisfy the senses is not enough to satisfy a person whose senses are uncontrolled. Should I say that again? Everybody want to hear it again? Okay. He said, all that there is within all the universe to satisfy the senses. You take everything that there is in the universe that can satisfy the senses. All the beautiful things, all the sweet things, all the soft things, all the fragrant things, everything that there is in this universe that can satisfy the senses is not enough to satisfy one whose senses are uncontrolled, right? Because as it was saying here, it burns like fire. There's not enough gasoline in the world to put out a fire. The more gasoline you pour into the fire, the more the fire doesn't say, okay, I got enough gasoline. Thank you very much. I'm fully satisfied now. No, the more you pour in, the more it burns. The more that we try to satisfy the senses with the external things of this world, we don't become satisfied. We still want more. That's the way that desire works. And that's the way that the material energy works in connection with the senses. So then the only way that we're ever going to be satisfied is how? By learning to control our senses. Yes. And if we learn to control our senses, then where's our happiness going to come from? Because we're not taking it in through the senses anymore. Where are we going to find our happiness? Anybody want to say? Take a guess? I can't hear. Thank you. We're going to find it within. It's our nature, actually. It was inside us all along. By nature, we're happy. We're trying to find it through external things. Let's put it this way, by connecting the senses with the external things. We think that's going to give me satisfaction. It never will. So therefore, the yogi has to learn, let me find the programming in my mind and in my senses that is telling me you need external things to be happy, and address it right there. Right? So Krishna goes on to say, he gives a bit of a strategy. He says, the senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this desire, of this computer programming in the mind. It's telling us, you need this taste to be happy. You need this form to be happy. You need to touch this to be happy. You need to see this to be happy. It's programming in the mind, in the computer of the mind. The yogi is going to analyze that programming and adjust it. I don't need that. By reflecting in the mind, they're going to reprogram the mind. I don't need these external things to be happy. I can keep chasing these external things forever and never find happiness. So I'm locating those files in the mind and in the senses that are telling me you need these external things, and I'm countering them just like I might counter corrupted files on a computer. Put them through an antivirus program. The antivirus program here is my own intellect, my own knowledge that I've gained through these sacred texts. And I'm going to purify the programming of my mind to the point where I realize I don't need anything external to be happy. Right? Everything that I need to be happy is already inside myself. Okay. One moment, and I'll just complete this. Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, of desire, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, and thus, with spiritual strength, conquer the insatiable enemy of the self known as material desire. Okay? So we all have the ability, the freedom to do that. Take in this knowledge, analyze our desires, see if they make sense, reflect on our experience in life. Yes, we enjoy things through the senses, but does it ever satisfy us? And doesn't it usually turn into some form of suffering, right? The yogis are saying there's a deeper happiness. It's the happiness of the self. Let me awaken that. Let me reawaken that. And then it won't be tied to the ups and downs of the material realm. Anything that I get in this world, it may give happiness for a while, and then I lose it, or it changes. Because material energy is in a constant state of flux. What is it that's not in a state of flux? That's the self, the soul, the spiritual energy. If I find my happiness within, if I find my happiness in my own spiritual nature, then no matter what the external circumstances are, I can keep that steady happiness alive in me. Thank you for the questions. Nice one. Miss, you had a question?
Yeah, my question is related to continuation with the same what you are talking. Like in the beginning, you said sometimes it's not in our control, and we don't want to do something, but we do it under the influence of something. So if it comes like we have done something and we regret it later, and when the consciousness comes back, we say no, we didn't do it right. I should not have done it. That guilt comes in. So how to overcome that guilt? What are the ways to overcome that guilt? That's my question.
A little bit, you use the word guilt, but let's say a little bit of regret can be a very healthy thing. I think sometimes now, like people are, they commonly say this, like no regrets, right? Like people getting interviews. I don't know if you've seen these kind of, Western people speak like this all the time, right? You did this in your career and this happened and that happened. And how do you feel about that? I got no regrets. They say, it's like, really? You don't regret any choice that you made in life? I can't, I don't think a very thoughtful person, can really say that. Yes, I've done things that I regret. I've tried to learn from them. I've tried to grow from them. I've tried to analyze how I might have behaved better. And I've tried to imbibe that into my mind and heart so that the next time I'm in a similar position, I can rise to a higher level. So a little bit of regret can be a very purifying thing. It shouldn't make us feel horrible about ourselves. By nature, we're all pure spiritual energy. The theology of bhakti and of Vedanta, we can call it a pure soul theology. We're not saying you're born into sin or that you're bad by nature. Quite the opposite. We're saying we're pure spiritual energy by nature. We are the energy of God by nature. We are luminous and beautiful and full of love by nature. But it may not be fully awake in us. And we may be identifying with a mind that may be warped by so much of its experience in this world. So if we have a little regret, it's not that we're feeling bad about ourselves, but we're realizing I'm not behaving to the potential of my soul. I regret that. I want to adjust that. I want to improve. And therefore a little regret can be helpful. It shouldn't be self-destructive or cause feelings of deep unworthiness, but it should be enough to make us say, I want to be better. Thank you. Yeah.
And this is also said that it's not in your control when you behave like in a certain way. It's already in your mind and your conditioning and your preoccupations. That only are doing. I am not doing that. So how to how to justify that? I have done it, or I am not the doer, or I am the doer. How to justify that?
We might say I couldn't control myself, right? But what that means is we have free will. But according to the choices that we make in life, that free will either expands or contracts. Okay? In other words, let's say that I get in an automobile. I get in a car. And I go out onto the highway. And I start to drive. And I'm driving at the speed limit. In India, I don't even see any speed limit signs. Do they have them here? Is there a speed limit? No, people just go. Okay. In a lot of other countries, they have a speed limit. There's signs. Everywhere you go, there's a sign that says, this is the limit of the speed that you can go. People don't follow. But sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower. Let's say the speed limit is 55 miles an hour, but I want to drive faster. So I increase the speed to 60, 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. I've made that choice, and that choice is my free will. But once I made that choice, now my free will to make the next decision has contracted. Like, let's say I want to stop quickly. I can't do that anymore because I'm going at the speed. Let's say I want to make a sharp turn. I've lost that free will to do that because I'm going too fast because of the previous decision that I made. You understand? So if we become the slave of our senses, if we begin to constantly operate according to the dictations of our senses, our mind starts to follow certain patterns that become difficult to break, right? It becomes harder to break them. And so our free will has contracted. So we need to combat that. And the ultimate way to combat that is through bhakti. But through bhakti, through devotion. But within bhakti, there's jnāna, there's knowledge, right? We can contemplate how my actions are limiting my freedom. How I think that when I make a choice, I'm acting out of freedom, but really I'm not. Really, I'm being controlled by this external energy, and it's pulling me in this direction and it's pulling me in that direction. I need to become free, right? And so let me analyze my mind and let me see how it's pulling me around, and let me become determined to control it. Let me become determined to become self-disciplined, right? That takes strength, right? So associating with people that have self-control can help us do that. Ultimately developing a deep sense of connection to God gives us that freedom and that ability. And contemplating the state of our own mind and speaking to it and saying, I'm in control now. Sometimes I give this example. Have you ever seen like a Kumbh Mela or something like this? Sometimes there's a yogi and he has his hand up in the air. They take a vow. I'm going to keep this hand up in the air for 15 years, right? And even when they go to sleep, they kind of tie it up in some way so that it doesn't come down. Now that sounds like a bizarre thing to do, right? I don't know of any text, any sacred shastra text that prescribes this, but it's probably somewhere in some obscure text that speaks about this kind of thing. And my understanding of what they're doing is when you put your hand up in the air, then you can keep it there for a little bit, but before long, in a short amount of time, your mind is going to begin to speak. And the mind is going to say, this is uncomfortable, put the arm down. Yes? And then the self can speak to the mind and say, I've been following your dictation for many, many years. You've been telling me what to do. You've been telling me what to eat and how to sleep and what I need to be happy and chase this and try to avoid that. And I've been listening to you all along. And what I've gotten for that is I'm stuck in a cycle of birth and death that goes on and on and on, of happiness one day and distress the next. And I'm very tired of that. And it's all because I allow you to control my destiny. I'm not allowing that anymore. I'm showing you through one act of defiance, keeping my arm up in the air, no matter how much you shout at me, I'm telling you I'm in control now. I don't listen to you anymore, right? Now, we don't all have to take such a drastic step, but we can begin to overcome the dictations of our mind by reflecting on this knowledge, right? And the more that we do it, the stronger we get. And gradually the mind begins to surrender, right? And then we become the controllers of our mind rather than us being controlled by the mind, right? Then we're called Goswami, right? Master of the senses, right? Then we're in control. And that's really what yoga is all about, becoming free. We think we're free, but actually we're getting dragged around all over the place, right? So we can all do this if we're determined. We can become free. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Like there are various ways to control your senses, the way you said, or control or to overcome your own self. So can jnana and bhakti go together? Like we are doing jnana also and we are in bhakti also. How do they coordinate and how do they go together?
I'll speak from the perspective of bhakti, because that is my lineage and my practice. Ultimately, bhakti, jnana and vairagya, knowledge and detachment follow bhakti. If you have some love for God in your heart, knowledge and renunciation, knowledge and detachment come automatically with it. Because when you deeply love someone, you forget about everything else. And when you deeply love God and you've awakened this love within your own heart and you feel the bliss of that, you no longer think I need external things to be happy, and you let them all go, right? And that's jnana and vairagya. I know who I am. I'm eternally connected to God. That's jnana. I know I'm not this body. I'm not this mind. I don't need these material things to be happy. That's jnana. I let them all go. That's vairagya. So my love, by connecting with love, automatically these things drop away. So therefore, through bhakti, you get jnana and vairagya. But practically, as we cultivate our bhakti, we can be cultivating jnana along with it. We can be reflecting on important instructions. Take Bhagavad Gītā. I mean, so many verses. Let's take Bhagavad Gītā, what is it, 2:14? Matra sparshas tu kaunteya, sitojna sukha dukada. Agama payano nityas, tongues tiktikshasva bharata. O Arjuna, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course is like the appearance and the disappearance of the winter and summer seasons. They arise from the connection of the senses, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. This is jnana, right? This is knowing how the material energy functions, knowing that I'm beyond it, knowing that by practicing tolerance, I can overcome it. That's jnana. But it's jnana in a harmonious sense with bhakti. I'm letting go of this because I want to embrace Krishna, right? I'm letting go of my material distractions so that my mind and body and words can all be devoted to Krishna instead of going up and down with the constant changes of this world. So bhakti and jnana can work very well together. And as a matter of fact, within bhakti, you'll find jnana and you'll find vairagya. They come automatically. Okay? Thank you. You'd like to talk about these things and read about these things, yes? Where are you from? From Rishikesh. Very nice. Local. Nice. Have you always lived here? You came here because you like the spiritual life. Okay. You came here to make a lot of money. Tell the truth. Okay. Okay. Okay, very good. You like to live by... Yes. You like to live by Mother Ganga? Yeah. Okay. This is a special opportunity you have here. Yeah. Yeah. So please take advantage of it. Please take advantage of it. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Other questions out there? Yes.
Bhagavad Gītā says, the living entities in this world think themselves to be the doer of activities which are in fact carried out by nature. If intelligence is simply the expression of material nature, how are we in control of that in actuality?
Let me see if I understand. In other words, there's a statement in Bhagavad Gītā that's saying that we think, really it says, what is it? That the Mudha thinks, right? What is it? What's the verse again?
I just know the translation.
Say it again.
The living entities in this world think themselves to be the doer of activities
Yeah.
which are in actuality carried out by
But,
nature.
oh, it's slipping my mind, the verse. Thank you. No. This is third chapter again. Anyway, slipping my mind, but it's okay. So could you give me third chapter again? I think it's maybe 27. There we go. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So what does that mean? Are we in control? Is nature in control? If nature is controlled, then why are we held responsible for anything? Is that the essence of your question?
Well, if it's actually nature and intelligence is just nature, it's just an expression of the modes,
Yeah.
then how are you actually in control?
Well, here it's saying you're not.
That's good.
Yeah. So, but the point is this: the Bhagavad Gītā is gonna, in several different places, bring up this question of agency. Who's actually doing? And here, a certain angle is being emphasized. 18th chapter, he's going to say there's 5 factors of influence in any action, right? But here he's saying, look at it this way. Look at things through this angle, that the material nature is carrying out everything. This is how I understand it. I'll share an analogy. Let's say you're plugged into a virtual reality. You're sitting in a chair in a room. You have goggles on and headphones and gloves that are connected to the virtual realm and all the equipment to make it feel like you're in the virtual world. And you're sitting in a chair, but you feel like you're in a virtual world. In a sense, you're experiencing a virtual world as real, as if it's not real, but you're experiencing it as if it is real. But it's really just a computer program. And in that computerized world, even though you're just sitting in a chair, you're walking down the street. You're picking up a newspaper and taking a look at it. You're picking up a guitar and playing a guitar. You're driving a car. In truth, you're not doing any of those things. The virtual reality is doing everything, and you're just sitting in a chair. So I believe Krishna is speaking like this when he says this, that we're not doing anything. The material nature is doing everything. Am I lifting my hand right now? I have a desire to lift my hand, but somehow the material nature makes it happen. How it even happens, I'm not even exactly sure, but it facilitates but I don't do anything. The material energy allows me to lift this hand. And I believe that's how Krishna is speaking in that verse.
Connect that with intelligence.
Well, intelligence is...
Think you're doing.
The intelligence is part of that material energy, right? And so it's been programmed in a particular way. You know, if that intelligence becomes programmed in another way, we're able to discern, I'm not doing anything. But commonly our intelligence gets programmed to believe that we are doing all of this. It gets corrupted by the virtual programming. And it's discerning in a way like, yes, I'm reading the newspaper. Yes, I'm driving the car. Yeah, it's convinced of that and it's reinforcing that idea. So if that application within the mind, that intelligence, becomes reprogrammed, re-influenced through the wisdom of Bhagavad Gītā, then it can become reset, readjusted, and it can actually begin to purify the rest of the programming in the mind. It can speak to it. It can speak to the manas and say, you have this impulsive reaction that this will make me happy and this won't. But understand, you'll be most happy if you work for the spiritual liberation of the self. You know, you'll be most happy to adopt those things that are favorable for that path. Going to sleep early, rising early, eating relatively simple diet, etc. Let program yourself to become satisfied with these things, and now the mind becomes the friend rather than the enemy. With the reprogrammed by the intelligence nourished with truth. Like that. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Are there any more questions out there? Yes, Joey.
Thanks again for being here. So one of the things about, I guess, Western Abrahamic religions that really turns me off is when the gods in those texts often say, worship me, worship me. Because especially as some of the questions came earlier today, the material world is nothing but vanity. But yet it seems to me that when Krishna tells Arjuna, worship me, is that not also the apex of vanity? And if it's not, then it's certainly hypocrisy. Is it? Help me understand. Thank you.
No, this is a good question. It's an essential question. When a parent, sometimes a parent speaks truth to a child for their welfare, but the child doesn't hear the message, and the parent essentially says, "Listen to me. I'm speaking for your good. Allow me to be your shelter. Allow my words, allow my influence to become your shelter, right? And you will be well provided for and well cared for and protected from a potentially harmful experiences." Is that vanity on behalf of the parents, or is it just a statement of truth and of compassion, right? Yeah. So that's one thing, and it's another thing if I walk through the world desiring adoration, desiring prestige, desiring distinction. That's another thing. One's an expression of compassion, and the other is an expression of really our lack of self-worth and trying to derive some pleasure by other people appearing lower than us. If the root of the tree, it plays this central role where it nourishes every leaf. And if the root were to say, don't disconnect, stay connected, right? The leaf might say, hold it, why do you have to be the root? What about me? There's so many leaves here, and we're all just these leaves, and you're the central root. You're the big deal here. I wonder what it's like if I were the root. Why don't I play that role? And that was like what I was saying earlier. That's a desire that reality does not facilitate, right? And so in a sense, our playing around in this world is us wanting to be God, us wanting to be the origin, the original, that one that all others are dependent on, that central figure. And reality does not facilitate that. So we enter into a virtual realm. In reality, everything is harmoniously circled around that center, orbiting that center in harmony. But because we want to try to take the role of the center, we enter into the virtual worlds. But the problem is everybody else has the same desire. That's why we're all here. And so now there are many centers, and it's all this colliding going on. That's why we're fighting all of these wars. That's why we're in all these personal conflicts. That's why we can't walk down the street without getting into a little bit of a conflict with someone, because we're all trying to be that center rather than revolve harmoniously around the one true center. So when that true center says, just revolve around me, everybody and everything will be harmonious and smooth, and if the root is say, just stay connected to me, you'll be nourished, you'll be vibrant, you'll have vitality, I'll provide it for you. Then that's not vanity. That's just truth, compassionate truth. There. Okay. Thank you. Yes.
I guess for me, it's the word worship that I don't maybe really understand. Like, are you comparing worship and? Are you comparing worship to compassion?
I'm saying that Krishna's call for worship is a compassionate call. It's not an egoistic call. It's not a call of vanity. It's a call of compassion. That's my point. But isn't it that we are all worshiping something, right? I mean, it's like if you go to a sporting event, right? And the team that you're rooting for, one of the players here in India, they say they hit a 6, right? Is that what they say? What do you call it when you get in cricket? What's it called? A 6, right? Yes. What do they call that? They call that a 6. A sixer. You hit a sixer. You got a sixer, like that. So and then when they do that in America, they have baseball, and you also hit the ball beyond the boundary. They call that a home run, and everybody cheers, and the person runs around the bases, and everybody stands up and worships them, right? They express their adoration for this person and for their action, right? You got something? Worship. Showing respect for God or a god by saying prayers, singing with others, etc. A ceremony for this. An act of worship. The tradition of ancestor worship. Okay, this is kind of a narrow definition. It seems to me like that, but yeah. But in other words, you're showing some adoration. I adore you. Whether it's expressed through the words, whether it's respect through a particular action. It may be the action of cheering. It may be the action of clapping one's hands. It may be the action of giving offerings. Someone writes a book and they appear in a bookstore and there's a big line of people, one after another. They're coming up and saying, "You've changed my life. I'm so grateful to you. Let me offer you something." This in a sense is a type of worship. Krishna is saying that you're placing that worship in all kind of places that ultimately disappoint you. But if you place it in me, then you'll be satisfied. And this is the thing. Early on, when we came here a few weeks ago, there was one theme that kept getting repeated, and I'll come back to that now. Why Krishna? Why? Is it safe? Can I trust him? Right? The whole point, sometimes people say Krishna is the God of love. Have you heard that before? The God of love. And I think sometimes we think of that in kind of like a superficial way. I don't know if there's any statement Krishna is the God of love. There's probably something that you could interpret that way. But I think we think of it like, oh, look, he plays the flute and he runs around with these girls and he's engaged in dalliances of love. But if we really want to take this seriously, we can see that Krishna is the God of love. Krishna is not interested in any other offering. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gītā, Patram pushpam palam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati. He says, offer me, he's asking for worship. Offer me a leaf, a flower, some fruit, some water. Really, he's saying, even the poorest person can give him a leaf. Here's a little bit of water, right? He's not asking for something big, but he's saying, but if you offered with bhakti, if you offer with love, then I'll accept it, right? This is the type of worship that he's asking for. He's saying, show me that you love me. And then we see how Krishna responds. Now, Krishna is called Ajita. Ajita means that which cannot be conquered. But we see that Krishna, the Ajita, becomes conquered by love. In other words, any kind of love requires vulnerability. It requires the potential to be conquered. And as a matter of fact, the desire of the lover is ultimately to be conquered by love. And Krishna, although he's all-powerful in Ajita, and the origin of all, he becomes conquered by love. We can see this all throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. What do we see early pastime of Krishna? He's just a little boy, practically just a little baby, right? His mother is breastfeeding him. How many of you know this story? Krishna. Listen to this. He's being breastfed by his mother, and everything's perfect. There's this feeling of love is going back and forth, right? She's loving him. He's loving her. Everything's nice. And then she realizes, I'm cooking for Krishna and I have some milk on the stove and the milk is boiling over. Out of her love for Krishna, she has to put him down. Go tend to the stove. But when she does that, he becomes upset and he goes and causes some trouble. Right? He goes and steals some yogurt. He's breaking the pots. He's feeding the yogurt to the monkeys. He's creating a whole mess, creating a whole scene. And his mother realizes something's going on. He's up to no good. And she sees him. She's kind of simultaneously charmed, but feeling like I need to correct him, because her love for him, her motherly love is so strong that she can't see him as God. She sees him as her little boy, and she has to respond as a mother responds. He needs to be punished if he's going to grow up right. That's part of my care. And so she chases him down. She sees the most adorable butter footprints on the floor, and she finds him covered in butter. There's all these monkeys. They've been all eating the butter. The pots are broken. And she says, Krishna, what have you been doing? And he says, I didn't do anything. You stole the butter. He's got butter all over his face. I didn't steal anything. I can see that you stole the butter. He says, yeah, but this butter was no good. Look, even the monkeys don't want to eat it. But the monkeys have already eaten so much, they're full. And it's what he's saying is so adorable. He looks so incredibly beautiful. And he's acting in such a clever way, but a naughty way. But that's even making him more adorable. But she's like, I got to punish him. And she's like, I have to tie you up. Right? And so she goes and gets some rope and she's trying to tie him up, but she's not having any success. And she tries this way and she tries that way. And no matter what she's doing, she can't tie him. How can you tie that being which the entire universe exists within? You understand? He's untieable, right? But he allows himself. He becomes, not even allows himself, but being conquered by her love, he is tied up. It's not exactly the rope that's tying her, but it's her love that ties it. He becomes vulnerable. She becomes more powerful than him because she's carrying the force that's more powerful than him. She's carrying the force of love in her heart, of bhakti. Bhakti is so powerful. Love is so powerful that he becomes conquered by it. So when he's asking for worship, it's not like he wants to control by that worship. It's not that he wants to impose his superiority, but he's saying, I'm that central root that feeds you. Connect to me. Bring your thoughts to me. I'll bring my thoughts to you. There's a verse in Bhagavatam. What is it? Sadhava. Oh, I forget this one. Sadhava. He says, I am always in the thoughts of the sadhus. I'm always in the thoughts of my devotees. And my devotees are always in my thoughts. He really says, I'm in the heart of my devotee, and the devotee is in my heart. They can think of nothing but me, and I can think of nothing but them. He actually worships his own devotees. He's just saying, please enter back into this relationship of love. You're misplacing this freedom that you have in all places that aren't worthy of it. Bring it back to me and connect in love. And that connection will carry you through everything like that. We need to understand who he is, you know.
I guess for me, I was putting more emphasis on worship, but it's worship. If you're going to worship, worship me.
When you fall in love with someone, don't you worship them? Don't you buy them gifts and offer them to it? Don't you speak sweet words to them? That's all that worship is. What are they doing in the temple? Let me offer you a gift, Lord. Let me offer you this lamp. Let me offer you this water. Let me speak these sweet words. Worship is empty if it's not invested with love. If worship is simply an expression of love. And so let's try not to get caught up in the semantics. He's saying, offer your love to me, and I'll offer my love to you. We should look into this worship practice. What's going on in a temple when they perform this worship ceremony? Right? Like sometimes there's 16 upacharas, or you could say 64 upacharas. These are offerings. It's very much like a practice of hospitality. It's like, first, what is it? Svagata. You know, Idam Svagatam Kling Krishnaya Namaha. Dear Krishna, welcome. Welcome here. Idam Asanam Kling Krishnaya Namaha. Please, Krishna, please have this seat. Let me offer you a seat. Right? You've come a long way to visit me. Please have a seat. Tat Padyam Kling Krishnaya Namaha. Krishna, allow me to bathe your feet. Right? Idam Argyam. Allow me to offer you this refreshing drink. Like this. It's externally, it's like you're greeting a guest in your home. If someone that you loved and respected came to your home and you wanted them to stay, then this is how you would treat them. And you would do it out of love. So, although this is being done on an external level, we make the temple very clean, pristine. We beautify that altar area in by some sort of ornate design, so that our awareness goes right to that area. We call God to reside in that space, and we make offerings of love. But that's what we're doing externally. But internally, the effect is, dear God, please come and rest here in my mind. Please come and rest here in my heart. Let my heart become that clean, pristine space for you to reside. And within my heart, let me offer you the lamp of my love. Let me offer you the food of my love. Let me offer you the drink of my love. Let me offer you the flower garland of my love. Please reside always within me. Be illuminated within me. Allow me to feel your presence here. So this worship is just an expression of love. And Krishna worships the devotee in the same way. We see it. We see there's one pastime. When Krishna was a young boy, he was in school with a friend named Sudama. And they didn't see each other for many years. And years later, Krishna became like the prince, or practically the king of Dwarka. He was living now at first he was just a cowherd boy. But then he went to school. And then he was living like a king in a palace. And he had 16,108 palaces and queens. And his friend Sudama was a simple brahmana. He was very poor. But he was happy. But his wife was like, we're living in real abject poverty here. And you have this friend, Krishna. Maybe you ought to go to him and see if he can help. And he didn't want to ask Krishna for anything. But he was being encouraged too by his wife. And out of his love for her, he submitted. And so he went there. And he had just the simplest offering to make. It was just some flat rice. Have you seen this flat rice? If you in India it's a popular thing. You soak rice until it becomes soft, and then you kind of roll it flat, and then you dry it. And then you can either eat it just like that, or mix some spices with that, or cook it and mix vegetables with that. But you can just eat that like a snack, but it's a very plain, simplest of snacks. And he's taking a little bag with this snack for Krishna. Now, Krishna is living in a palace. Krishna is being offered all kind of things at this stage in his life. This is all he has to offer. But he's offering with love. Now, I've heard the Rasika Bhaktas tell me that he had it in a bag and he kind of had it under his arm like this. And then he walks into the palace, and because he's a brahmana, he's allowed to see the king. And he's saying, is it okay that I see Krishna? And they're saying, well, brahmana can see the king? And they bring him before Krishna. Krishna's on his throne. Krishna's being fanned by all his beautiful wives, living in opulence. And then he sees his old friend, Sudama. Oh, and in his heart, the love that he has for Sudama is rising. And when Sudama sees him, his love for Krishna, this bhakti is arising in his heart. He doesn't want to ask for anything. It's not that he sees Krishna as, you give me something. He's thinking, all I want is to think of you. All I want is to feel this love in my heart. There's nothing that I can be given that's of any more value than that. He feels a little embarrassed. But when Krishna sees him, oh, my friend Sudama, I'm coming down from the throne. You sit on the throne and let me worship you. So Krishna goes and he says, bring the water, bring the conch shell, and he begins to wash the feet of this Brahmana. Now this Brahmana looks like the poorest person in the world. He's got old clothes and they're very simple, and his wives are saying, who is this? Why is Krishna worshiping this person? What's so special about him? He's special because Krishna loves him. Right? Krishna wants to worship him. That's how we feel when we love someone, isn't it? When you really love someone, you want to serve them. Right? And that service is just an expression of our love, and that's essentially its worship. Right? So Krishna worships his devotee. So when he says worship me, he's saying, I'm always here ready to worship you. You've turned your back to me, and you're giving your worship in all these places that never satisfy you. You're giving your worship in all these places that can't support you. You're giving your worship in all these places that ultimately let you down and cause you pain and suffering. Turn around and worship me, and I'll worship you, and we'll enter into this entirely satisfying connection. This is Krishna's heart. If we need to understand Krishna's heart, and when we understand Krishna's heart, then all of our triggers and all of our issues and all of our hang-ups will be revealed for being not irrelevant in this case. Right? Here we can place our heart and there's no exploitation. Here it's just love. Krishna is the God of love. There's no exploitation. He's only coming from a place of love. All right? Thank you. It's purifying just to speak about. He had this bag of rice and he was keeping it under his arm, and Krishna's like, what have you got there? Have you got something for me? I think you brought a gift for me. And he's so embarrassed. Look at Krishna, the way he's living. He's given the most opulent food and all I've got is this bag of rice. And Krishna's like, I want it. What have you got? Because he knows it's coming with love. He would rather have this most simple of foods be offered with love than the most opulent foods, right? And it's even said that because it was under his arm, it was kind of like a little sweaty, and that made it even more appealing to Krishna because it reminded him so much of his friend who he loves so much. But there's another story like that. There's another story like that. Krishna's only interested in love. There's in my kitchen, I framed a little verse for my wife in the kitchen. She really loves her kitchen. And she wanted me to, I did this as a gift for her, out of my love for her. There's one verse. I wish I had the whole thing memorized. We got to get this one in your thing. But the verse says, Dear Krishna, just as you enjoyed the breast milk of Mother Yashoda, just as you enjoyed the food cooked by the wives of the Brahmanas. This is a whole story in Srimad Bhagavad Gītā where these ritualistic Brahmanas wouldn't offer Krishna anything. But when their wives heard that he was hungry, they immediately, with great love, cooked for him and came out and offered it to him. Just as you enjoyed those offerings, just as you enjoy the cooking of the young girls of Vrindavan, and just as you enjoy the offerings made by the wife of Vidura, may you enjoy this offering this cooked offering that I'm giving to you now. Yeah. It's a verse one can chant when one makes an offering to Krishna. Dear Krishna, whatever devotion I have in my heart, please accept it. It's my desire that just as you enjoy the offerings from the people that really love you, that you enjoy this. I want to serve you with the kind of love and please you in the way that your lovers, in the way that you enjoy the offerings of those that you truly love and that truly love you. So what was this offering by the wife of Vidura? Right? She must have offered something really delicious. She must have offered some really specially cooked thing. No. Wasn't like that. I'll tell you what you want to hear the story? Krishna, here we go again. Krishna became the servant of Yudhishthira and Arjuna and the Pandavas. He became the servant. Krishna doesn't like so much to be served. He prefers to serve his devotees. So they were living in Indraprastha, and which is Delhi actually. And they're about to engage in a war with their cousins who are living in Hastinapur, some distance away. And although they had every right to battle them, every reason to battle them, Yudhishthira was sent as a messenger of you. Krishna acted and was sent as a messenger of Yudhishthira, of Arjuna's elder brother, to carry a message to Duryodhana, his cousin who he's going to have to battle against. Welcome, Maharaj. Thank you so much for your presence among us here. To have the presence of a sage in our Sangha is a great blessing. So Krishna plays the role of a messenger. That's the kind of thing that's a menial role. I won't carry your message. You get yourself a messenger. No. I love you. I want to be your messenger, right? I want to be your humble servant. So Krishna carries the message to Duryodhana to try to prevent the battle, right? And when he arrives, it's like tomorrow we're going to meet and have our council here, and we'll hear your message. But Duryodhana's thinking like a politician. He's like, Krishna sympathizes with the Pandavas. I want as many allies as I can have. Let me see if I can get Krishna to come over to my side. Let me invite him over for dinner and really lay out like all the opulence, super opulent meal, and we'll entertain him in certain ways, and maybe I can corrupt him. Maybe I can influence him with material opulence. Maybe I could change his mind, change his heart through offering him opulent material things. Krishna's not the least bit interested in these opulent material things. They don't mean a thing to him. When he says, make an offering to me, he says a leaf, a flower, some fruit, but offer it with love. Right? So Duryodhana says, please come to my home this evening and I will offer you the most opulent meal you've ever had. Krishna's thinking, oh my God, this must be a great meal. No. He says, I'm sorry, I can't attend tonight. I've already agreed to have my meal in the home of Vidura. Vidura is a great sage, an advisor to the king, and very pure-hearted, wise sage. So Krishna goes over to the home of Vidura. Vidura's not there yet, but his wife is. And when Krishna arrives, Vidura's wife, she's feeling, because she loves Krishna, deep within her heart, she's feeling waves of ecstasy. She's not just feeling ordinary happiness, but she's feeling the spiritual happiness of bhakti. They call these sattvika bhavas, these involuntary symptoms of bliss. Where like you feel like waves of bliss going over your body, your tears are coming to your eyes. Your hair, you have goosebumps. Goosebumps, your hairs are standing on end. She's feeling these kind of feelings. And she's so happy and feeling so overwhelmed with love. Duryodhana doesn't feel this way. He's thinking, come to my place so that I can get you on my political side. She has no concerns like that. The Lord of my heart is here. I'm so overwhelmed with love. Please come in and let me make an offering. I have so little to offer you. What does she have to offer? Anybody know? Bananas, right? She's got bananas. He could have been having this big opulent meal. He's come over here to accept the bananas. And the thing is, she's feeling so much bliss that she can't really concentrate right. So she's peeling the bananas. And then she wants to make an offering to Krishna. But instead of offering the banana, she's offering him the peel by mistake. Right? It was a mistake that was just caused by her just being so overwhelmed with love. But because it was offered with such love, Krishna's like, oh, thank you. You know, this is the most delicious thing I've ever had. Why? I mean, eating a banana peel must not be very nice at all. But because it was offered with love, therefore he was so moved by it, right? So this verse says, as you accepted and enjoyed the breast milk of Mother Yashoda, the cooking of the wives of the Brahmanas, the cookings of the young girls of Vrindavan, you have it? Thank you. Yata Yashoda Stanyam Datam Yata Gopinam Pakvabhojanam Tata Madiyam Naivedyam Tvam Grihanamasu Sudhana. Just as you accepted the milk of Mother Yashoda, this one doesn't have the Vidura's wife in it, does it? Yeah. Yeah, this one does, but there's several versions of this, and one of them mentions Vidura's wife. But just as you accepted the milk of Mother Yashoda, just as you accepted and enjoyed the cooked offerings of the gopis, just as you accepted the offerings of the wife of Vidura, in the same way, please accept and enjoy this offering of mine, O Sri Krishna. So this is who Krishna is. This is what the worship of Krishna is. We offer Krishna the best that we have out of love. And even if it's very meager, even if it's very insignificant, it's not at all important to him. Because ultimately what he wants is love. That's what he has in his heart. And when he's calling for us to come back, when he's calling for worship, we think, because we've been so hurt by the exploitation of this world, we worry. Maybe I'm going to be exploited. Right? That's what we worry about. We really have to understand that heart of Krishna. We really should make that the most important study of our life. Who is this Krishna? What is his heart? Let me read Bhagavad Gītā. At the Bhagavad Gītā, towards the end, Krishna just starts to... Let's read a little Bhagavad Gītā together. Shall we do that? Everybody like a little Bhagavad Gītā? Always brings auspiciousness into the assembly, right? Let's go to 18th chapter, where Krishna really begins to sing his love song to Arjuna, right? Arjuna is his friend, very dear to Krishna. Krishna's saying, surrender to me. But he's really speaking his words of love to Arjuna. Let's see what we got here. This is beautiful. Arjuna, in all activities, just depend on me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. If you become conscious of me, this is the yoga that he's asking. Haribo. This is the yoga that he's asking Arjuna to connect with him through. Be conscious of me. Bring your mind to me. Always be aware of me. Stay connected to me in that way. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. And isn't that the state of our society? We're all disconnected from God. We're all thinking in our selfish little ways, and we're just hurting one another. We're lost in this world. We're confused. We're bumping against each other in darkness. He continues. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act the same way, O son of Kunti. Now he says this, the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. O Arjuna, surrender unto God in your heart utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme eternal abode. Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully, and then do what you wish to do. Right? I'm not forcing you. I'm not pushing you. I'm calling out to you with love and telling you what's for your own benefit. Please carefully consider this, and then do what you think is the right thing to do. Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. It's not for my benefit. It's for your benefit, Arjuna. This will help you. I'm telling you this because you're so dear to me. What is the most confidential knowledge of all? The most confidential knowledge of all the Vedanta? The most secret of all secrets? The greatest teachings? Always think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. Right? Because you're so dear to me. Abandon all varieties of dharma. Just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all of your bad karma, all the bad karma that you're afraid of. Do not fear. Right? This is Krishna, calling out with love, saying, I'm asking you to reconnect, not because I've got some selfish motive. I'm doing it because it's good for you, because it's for your benefit, and because you're so dear to me, right? I want you connected with me again so that I can care for you in every way, right? So that you won't fall into the anxiety that you're in here on this battlefield, all confused, suffering, going through these ups and downs constantly. Reconnect, right? And when you're reconnected, then you'll be delivered from all of your anxieties like this. Let us study the heart of Krishna. We can study it in Bhagavad Gītā. We can study it in Srimad Bhagavatam, right? This all-powerful being, right? Universes are emanating from not even his own body, from the expansion from his body, right? With simply a glance, he can create or destroy a universe, right? Is he interested in acting as the judge? No, he gives someone else that responsibility because he has no interest in it, right? Is he's got no interest in being the big judge. He's got no interest in condemning people to hell. He would rather become a little baby and be tied up by his mother, be so weak in the presence of her love that she can tie him up with a rope, and he sits there crying tears, right? Because he's feeling her motherly love, and love is his only interest, right? That's the heart of Krishna, right? This is a theology. It goes deeper into the heart of God. I say this, I believe I'm saying this objectively. I respect the different great spiritual traditions of the world. They have so much wisdom and knowledge to offer, but I have not seen any theology that goes so deep in such depth into the character and into the heart of the Supreme than we'll read in a text like Bhagavad Gītā, or what to speak of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? When we can love God, knowing the depth of his sweetness, right? Like that. It's all there for us to learn about. And if we can learn about it, we'll find it incredibly beautiful, incredibly charming, and the heart will start to melt. And the barriers that we've naturally put up in our life due to the mistreatment and the letdowns and so on that we experience, we'll be able to overcome that and have a beautiful, loving reunion. We see this in all the movies. Yes, in all the romantic movies. Isn't it always that there's some love to be found, right? There's a man and a woman, and they meet. Maybe in the beginning they don't like each other due to the circumstances, but then they're brought together in some unique way, and they begin to feel some kind of love for one another. But then there's some obstacle to that love. There's usually some misunderstanding. Like maybe the lady, she sees the man do something, misunderstanding what he was doing, and she says, "No, I don't want to have anything to do with you." And then he spends the rest of the movie trying to win her heart back. And then the circumstances move in just such a way where he does something wonderful, which exposes that all along his love was pure. And when she sees that, then she drops all of her hesitation, and with a full heart accepts his love. And that's the beautiful reunion that everybody has been waiting for and feels so good about. We all have that reunion of love waiting for us. But we have our hesitations. I don't know if this love is safe. I don't know if your intentions are good. So I'm resisting that love. Krishna is saying to Arjuna, don't resist, right? I'm speaking because you're so dear to me. I'm speaking because it's for your benefit. Accept my love. Reconnect with me. Satatam yuktanam. Stay connected to me all the time, right? He says, think of me all the time, but he says, I always think of you, right? What is the verse in the 6th chapter? One who sees me everywhere. This is the vision of the true yogi. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me. This means I've got deep knowledge, deep yogic knowledge. He says, I am never lost to them, right? They're never feeling God is far away, I'm not connected. But he doesn't only say that. He doesn't only say, I am never lost to them, but he says, and they are never lost to me. They're always feeling connected to me. I'm always feeling connected to them. They're always thinking of me. I'm always thinking of them, right? They're always walking around with a heart full of love for me, and I'm always walking around with a heart full of love for them, right? This is the loving connection that's there. It's waiting for us. So I get it. We all have been abused. We've all been abusers, and we've all been abused in this life and the many lifetimes that we've been going through, right? We're living in a world of selfishness, and it's caused us so much pain, right? And the last thing in the world we need is someone that's all powerful that's going to cause us pain, right? That's like a real fear that we might have. Study the heart of Krishna, right? There you're going to find the sweetest heart you've ever found in your entire life, and we can reconnect eternally and exist in this eternal state which is our true nature. Let that love arise in us again, and feel the peace and the happiness and the bliss of bhakti. I thank you all so much for spending this time with us this evening. It's been a joy to be with you. Thank you very much. You're all very kind. Please join us in the mornings, 8 a.m. for Yogi Charu, giving wonderful yoga, asana classes, and meditation. I do a class from 9 until 10 tomorrow morning, every morning except Mondays. If you'd like to hear more of these Q&As or other classes that I'm giving, Gabriella will connect you with that. Just speak to her. Please enjoy more Kirtan tonight. Please enjoy this wonderful prasadam tonight. Everything here is invested with love, right? Everything here has been offered with love, right? A leaf, a flower, fruit, or water offered with love. This Kirtan is not ordinary music. It's music invested with love. This prasadam is not ordinary food. It's food invested, cooked, and offered with love. And really everything, this henna is not ordinary henna. This is henna being done with great love. And everything here is like that. It's bhakti. You can feel it? It feels special here, yes? Okay. Thank you all so much. Hari Om Tat Sat.